Loose White dive on him.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, laying. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Welcome in, First on the Floor podcast. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. How are you, Jake? How are you managing this early to mid-May without the Celtics?
Waves of emotion, making our way through the stages of grief, convincing myself of a variety of different things being good or bad. But, you know, at the same time, being very excited and enjoying some playoff basketball. Sitting down today and watching Wolves Spurs with like no distractions, on delay, able to just like really get into it. So I've been really enjoying that series, and I've actually kind of appreciated the fact that the Knicks and the Thunder swept, because I'm busy at the moment. It's kind of streamlined, so I can just focus on those two series. Maximum one game per day. I can just lock in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I haven't caught. It was a game 5 today of Wolves Spurs. I'm going to watch it while falling asleep beautifully and dreaming about the Celtics being on the court instead of those teams. But look, apologies for any potential audio or connectivity issues. I'm at my folks' place. I've scraped together the technology to make this show happen, and thanks to Jake and everyone in the chat waiting patiently while I figure that out. But maybe that's a good place to start, the playoffs, Jake, and the fact that the Celtics, as we've said several times now, since their premature exit, are not in said playoffs, and neither are the Sixers, and neither is Daryl Morey. And the Knicks have swept the Sixers in a way that has lent into our defeatist mentality, I think confirming what we never wanted to admit throughout the season, that we may just have lost to the Knicks all along. Where's your head at with how things have played out and the Sixers and Joel Embiid just like going back to the Joel Embiid of old after just like coming up to rare like peak form to throw the Sixers out of the postseason? Yeah.
It just became more and more clear, and has become more and more clear, both watching the games and listening to like the Ball podcast with Trill, who's a Sixers fan. I listened to both Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcasts after games 3 and 4 losses. And the consensus amongst everyone is that was like the best basketball and like the most serendipitous week in the last decade of Sixers basketball. And is that a little bit of cope? Me and John Zanis got a little bit into it on Twitter about how I'd kind of prefer to go down that way than have gone into the second round and lose to the Knicks in similar fashion, kind of punctuating how far away you are. And like, I guess he's right in a degree. Like, if you gave me the chance to win Game 7 and then roll the dice on whatever could happen in the Knicks series, of course I would take it. But you go into that series, Tatum's injured. He can say he was ready to play Game 1. He said he was ready to play Game 7. I think we're all pretty sure it was a calf injury. I don't know how likely he was going to be 100%. The big man rotation struggling to deal with Embiid. Towns is playing some of the best basketball in the NBA. I think it could have been just as embarrassing, but obviously you want to give yourself the chance to do it. I think just fucking put us out of our misery and then at least we get to watch the Sixers be the ones that get fucking skewered, right? Like that provided a little bit of joy for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel that joy, because before that series, we asked each other, like, how do you want this to play out? And I was like, kind of want the Sixers to get up, because then you're like, look who we lost to. Like, they had the magic all along. I said that, yeah. And did not go according to my mental plan. Things often don't. But just more pain, really, and despair. And I think that the Knicks are probably going to the finals, which hurts. I think whoever comes out of this Pistons-Cavs series is going to lose to the Knicks. The Knicks are playing incredibly well right now. And the one thing I've got going for me is like, remember when Tatum popped the Achilles? They all got up and they cheered for him as he was whisked off the court. And this is incredible cope, but like I've found my brain wandering towards that as like, I guess maybe it's like, I don't know, could get behind the Knicks a little bit in the finals.
No.
I know.
No.
The real series is Spurs Thunder, right? Like that's what everything is heading towards at this stage.
No, that's definitely like the most exciting. I think you just hope as a Celtics fan that whoever comes out of Spurs Thunder comes out healthy, and like you don't get to Game 7 and Victor went like the Spurs are going to win the series, but Wemby like pulls a calf in the fourth quarter, and the Spurs like hang on off of like a Luke Cornett fourth quarter for 3 minutes, and they go into the finals, and Wemby's like out for the first 2 games. That's like a fucking disaster, because you can say whatever you want. Mickey Mouse path, the Celtics copped all that shit about their easy path. As you get further and further from everything, all that matters is you got a title. And if the Knicks get a title and someone's injured, it doesn't matter. You get there. Do we know as well as anybody, no matter how easy the path is, it's fucking hard to get through 82 games, 4 playoff series, no matter who you're playing against. So you win the title, you win the title.
But, we already have to revise the Schadenfreude report introduction, I think, based on what happened to the Celtics in this postseason. If the Knicks get up, not that there's a lot of content in that intro, but like 99% of what we can throw at Knicks fans is like the whole no Larry thing. And if they get a Larry, then like we need new material, like desperately. Yeah. We're fucked, basically.
The Schadenfreude report is like squarely in the bowels of the Chamber of Secrets right now.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Like, how much can you laugh at the Sixers or the Knicks until you beat them in a playoff series at this point? The Knicks have now gone further than you in back-to-back playoffs. They beat you in the playoffs last year, and the Sixers just came back on you 3-1. So, like, sure, the Sixers may now just fall apart again. So I think it's probably the more likely outcome. But until you as the Celtics prove that you are not a team that collapses in the second round and collapses in the first round, sure, you won a title 2 years ago. That's still something you've got, like a huge thing you've got, like the most important thing you can have. But man, what have you done for me lately, league? And the Schadenfreude report's not built to sustain and withstand, I should say, multiple years of being the ones that are actually the Schadenfreude guys.
I never thought I would see the day, Jake, that the entire Schadenfreude report was stuffed into the Chamber of Secrets. But here we are. Oh, we need the room of requirement, Jake. We need Brad Stevens to walk us into the room of requirement and look into the mirror with Giannis Antetokounmpo staring back at us, smiling with the Celtics jersey on. But I digress.
I wouldn't
references.
count out the Cavs or the Knicks. Like, I think these things can just flip really quickly. Whether the Celtics are up 3-1 while the Knicks are down 2-1. To a week later, everything being different. Like I don't hold a ton for the regular season matchups, like with the Pistons kind of smoking the Knicks, but I think they're a good team. They have the size to handle Towns, and they can throw Asar Thompson on Brunson. I think their offense will struggle, but like you play the games, and the Pistons are awesome at home. Like, it's weird. The Knicks felt like a team that was on the verge of collapse, and like if you could. Like going into the playoffs, I was like, the Knicks are better than the Celtics. But if you can go up in a series, I think all of the stuff from the regular season, that like the fractured locker room, all that stuff is still there. It's incredible what winning does, and like the phrase and the moniker winning cures all, and like making shots cures all. Like so much analysis on what the Celtics did right and wrong. And like at the end of the day, the Knicks have just been fucking blistering hot from 3. And Ojeanovi's been hitting or was hitting just like the most ridiculous contested shots to like bail out the Knicks in the first round, and then the Knicks were 11 for 22, I think, in like a single quarter in Game 4. Sometimes you fucking just make all your shots, and you can't be beaten.
life is unfair. Sometimes as a Celtics team, you can generate like just worlds worth of great looks and hit none of them. And then like the Knicks can put up total bullshit. Not that they're not generating good looks and make them all. And that's life. And that could be applied to things other than basketball. Sadly, on the Sixers, where do you think the defeat of the Celtics ranks in like throughout the process, the all-time process era achievements? I'm thinking, obviously, Joel Embiid MVP season, like just the being awarded the MVP. I think Ben Simmons, if I remember correctly, won Rookie of the Year.
Yep, he did. He was all
Those
NBA.
Are two, and then like beating the Celtics in the first round against literally all odds. Is that not like number one-ish if you're the Sixers fan? And is that not some schadenfreude in itself that like the ultimate achievement of all the years of the process is like a first-round defeat prior to getting swept in the 2026 playoffs?
I had the exact same thought in the past couple of days. I'm like, is it not embarrassing that the best moment from the last 8 years that was supposed to be an era where you have Embiid and you have Simmons, ironically, like the first moments of those like championship aspirations was Ben Simmons' rookie year and Jayson Tatum's rookie year. And they go on like a 17-game kind of, I want to say it was a 17-game winning streak going into the playoffs. They're favorites in the second round against the Celtics. Celtics go up 3-0 in that series and end up closing it out. That was laying the foundations for championships. They have a 0 conference finals appearances. And so the best thing you get from those expectations is a first round series win against the Celtics. Yeah, I do think there is something to that as far as and is this cope? Yeah, fucking bet your sweet ass it is. But at the same time, it is embarrassing. It's like, how was the Joel Embiid era, Dad? Well, it was awesome. We beat the Celtics in the first round once. And every other year is pretty much the most crushing defeat you can kind of imagine. And the way that this really saves us and brings the Schadenfreude report back out of the Chamber of Secrets, the Philadelphia 76ers coming back on the Celtics up 3-1, leading to Brad Stevens having to have a real look at this team where he can't be fooled. Maybe they go into the next round, they push the Knicks to 6 or 7. You're like, make a few tweaks. Instead, he's like, no, this is a championship level team. He goes and gets Giannis. The Sixers beating the Celtics are the reason the Celtics go get Giannis, go get the next generation's Kevin Garnett, kickstarting the next championship. That is really the best way to do this. And whether it's Giannis, whether it's another trade, but it's like a real shakeup and a real like, we're trying to get better. We're trying to like we're not fucking deluding ourselves. And the Sixers are the reason that we form the next version, the next championship team. That's something that's going to help me sleep better at night.
So you're saying they're going to regret beating us in the first round?
Yes, what I'm saying.
Because of what
you fucked up, boys.
Yeah, that's why I love the show. That's awesome. I'm just picturing a hole in the ground and Jake like on the winch, just like pulling the Chamber of Secrets up out of the ground. He's just done it.
I'm trying.
He's just done it. So tonight we're going to get to Celtics exit interviews. We thought this would be a good series to kick off. It's from the brainchild of one Jake Eisenberg. A good way to start to sort of wade through the muddy waters of the offseason. And it's sort of going to be the cross section of hypothetical questions in a hypothetical exit interview scenario across the roster, starting with Tatum and Brown tonight, and also just like a general review of their seasons and what it means for the next season and the offseason coming up. Before we get to that, a couple of things. I'm very self-conscious of the fact that the background, the animated background for this show, if you're watching on YouTube, still very much references the first round of the playoffs, almost as if we never expected it to end this quickly. I've been tinkering around with the changes, so you can expect some changes there soon. As with the new intro, I'm putting the final touches on that, and a little wary that some of the players included might not be on the roster quite soon, but that's humming along quite nicely as well, so you can expect some of those aesthetic changes if you're someone who cares about that kind of thing. And I think the other thing we need to get to, Jake, is the First to the Floor live show in Boston, which is very much in the works, very much in the ideation stage, and like, where do we do this? How do we do this? Can Armit from CLNS please help us? Because we don't know what we're doing, but we think Like, we're definitely all going to be in Boston at some point early next season. We've got a nice little willing audience from our Discord and folks in the chat, in the comments. We'd love to know, like, if you're not part of the Patreon, whatever, would you attend a First to the Floor live show? Don't anticipate it costing any money, Jake, but again, we don't know what we're doing or how we're going to do it. Just that we're going to be in Boston and we're going to host a live show at some point while we're there.
Yeah, the most important thing to start with is, if you're listening to this and you would go to a First to Floor live show, please tell us somewhere. Tell us somewhere, because we need to figure out if we put something on and it's going to be me, Ben, Spoonie, and my sister and her partner. Like, like, wouldn't be like, hey, we'll still do a show, but it'd be disappointing. But no, I know we've already got some people on Discord that have said they would come. But that's the step one, is like, can we get in, 20 people, give or take, that are keen? If it was me, I'd be willing to pay like $20 for a ticket to go, to help us like actually execute on it. So,
you pay $20 to go to your own podcast live show?
I'd go $20. I would love to pay $20 to go to the Unipol guys do like a New Orleans one. Haven't been able to like get that one over the budget line in the Eisenberg household to fly to New Orleans to go to a hyper niche podcast in New Orleans. It's actually a Sixers podcast. However, I digress. But yeah, like, it would be a whole thing. Like, we would do a live show. We'd go to it. We're trying to like kind of lock in on like a 2-game homestand and go to 2 games. If people that are coming to the live show, everyone can like try and get tickets to the same game as well. We can make it like a multi-day, just like First to the Floor community thing. But yeah, just let us know if this is something you might be interested in. Have any thoughts or about anything that you would like to see or whatever.
And if the Knicks win the finals, I'm booking the conference room. I'm putting the chairs in a circle formation, and I'm holding the groups, the healing sessions. So secondary purpose while we're there. But I mean, we don't know what we're doing yet, and clearly promoting such a thing is new to us as well. But we know we've got a bit of an audience. We're keen to do it. We're going to be there, and so we should do it. And it'll be the first time the 3 of us have been in Boston together. So I'm really looking forward to that. Before we get to the exit interviews, Jake, it's probably a good time to take a break and hear from our friends over at PrizePicks.
Hell yeah. Regular season is wrapped up. The playoffs are here. The Boston Celtics season is done. So why not sprinkle a little bit of joy in your life or fun in your life with PrizePicks? No better way to cash in on the high-flying hoops action than PrizePicks, a preferred partner of the NBA. Every bucket, every dime, every win means more when you're playing on PrizePicks. So don't pass up your next shot with PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Do it live. 2026 NBA Finals sweepstakes. Pick live squares during the playoffs, and you could win a trip for 2 to the NBA Finals, and you can root against the New York Knicks. To enter, you just make a $5 lineup with at least one live NBA player pick during any part of the 2026 playoffs. Live player picks are made after a game is already in progress. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, a preferred partner of the NBA.
Shout out PrizePicks. I wish I had some Celtics games to point my PrizePicks habit towards, but plenty of Wemby, plenty of other amazing NBA teams, and again, looking forward to this Thunder Spurs series, which I don't know, who knows? Minnesota could bounce back, but it seems like we're heading towards the inevitable, which like I haven't caught a lot of playoffs since the Celtics went out. I've just been very busy with work and stuff like that, but I'm gonna carve out the time for the Thunder Spurs, because that just seems. Bill Simmons today called it like the best series matchup in 8 years. I'm not all the way through that pod yet, but Bill was just like in his bag today, which I love to see. He's clearly on the recovery trail from the Celtics demise. Yeah,
like this is kind of a tangent, but he fucked up the Jalen Williams thing the other day on one of his pods where he like talked about J-Dub actually playing when he didn't, and people were like, this fucking guy doesn't watch the games. All these fat wigs are gotten to. You got to be out of your fucking mind if you think Bill Simmons is not watching these games, man. Like, he is a complete sicko. Like, the league pass rankings, like, that shit's, in my opinion, not a joke at all. Like the 6 TVs, no one can really watch more basketball than him. Disagree with how it gets from the screen into his brain and out of his mouth. I have no problems with people that don't agree with that part or enjoy that part of him. I can't relate. I think it's fun. But fuck for me. I hate to be a Bill Simmons bootlicker, but like he's watching the games, and I love when he gets in his historian bag. But it's easy for anyone to see that Thunder, Spurs, like, thank God they're in the Western Conference, but like they're very, very terrifying for anyone trying to win a title. Like,
yeah,
the youth on the Spurs. I mean, yeah, you're vindicated, and you're Dylan Harper for Jaylen Brown trade potentially before.
It was a long year.
For the season. The play that he had today, like going coast to coast, like behind the back hesitation dribble, then left hand dunk on Ayo Dosunmu to like put a dagger in the hearts of the Timberwolves, was one of the more absurd plays you'll see from anybody. And the fact that it was a 20-year-old in a pivotal game 5 with the series tied 2-2 is just completely mind blowing. And Wembanyama has been not the best player in the playoffs, but has played the best. Like his best has been the best. His game 2, where he had 37, 15, and 5. His first quarter today, where the two, like, it's like the Timberwolves are going on these stretches where they're scoring 0 points for like a half a quarter. That's all because of Wemby. And then on the other end, he's just completely destroying them. Yeah, I need to see this titanic matchup between these two teams. But you can just see it being good.
Are we all team Spurs, just as far as like what we're hitching our way? Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I've
always felt like a brotherhood, a connection with the Spurs. Maybe it's because of the Derek White trade. I feel like we're kindred spirits.
Derek White, Aaron Baines. I know that like
others.
Some of the like Ime Udoka came over from the Spurs.
The Popovich coaching tree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cornette back to the Spurs. Like that was like a very amicable. Like you guys are gonna love him, and oh, you're right, we did love him. And then from the Australian perspective, obviously Aaron Baines, Patty Mills, Riven's in the chat. Like a lot of Aussies have played for the Spurs as well. And like with the SGA thing, there was like a Tatum SGA. Thunder Celtics thing, Andrew Gaze, and obviously SGA's taken that mantle. But for me, and again, this is all just like crazy fan brain stuff. It's much easier for me to like see the Spurs win 5 titles because, like, look, this 7'5" alien came in and won every. And the goat landed like on planet NBA 2026 and won all the titles. I can live with that reality far more than I can with like the Thunder got all these picks and they're just like fuck it, they're kind of annoying and Dort's fucking dirty. Like give me the alien that just comes in and is the Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and you just tip your cap to that guy.
Yeah, he's training with monks and shit, training with KG, just lovable guy and amazing. Like talk about dimensions, incredible. Like you don't even bother to discuss the Wemby dimensions because it's implied. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road. We'll be here all night. The hypothetical exit interviews for the Jays, and we're going to run through basically the entire roster. Brad Stevens just kind of like gave us an exit interview, and we recapped that last week, so we'll probably skip Brad. We'll definitely do Joe at some point. The way I wanted to approach this was like, what questions hypothetically would you ask them in an exit interview scenario? I know like you're keen to just kind of like recap their seasons as well. I think we can probably do both. Jayson Tatum, he like published an interview today with the Today Show, and it was the most Jayson Tatum interview of all time. Very quickly, it was clear that the directive was to, again, promote a non-opioid medication used to treat moderate to severe acute pain, as well as his like golf tournament or whatever it is. And it was a pretty nothing interview, which just led to the thirst of like, what would you ask Jayson Tatum in like a cowardless, I'm actually going to ask you good questions scenario. So if you had the mic and Jayson Tatum's at the podium in front of you, Jake, what are you asking him at the end of this season?
I think that you have to get to the bottom of this question, and it is in 4 of the last 5 seasons, in 3 of the 4, the only one that's of the Joe seasons, the only one that's not is the championship year, the Ime year in the finals. Every year, the real reason you lost in the playoffs is because the offense has failed you and the team. Why do you think that is happening? And how do you fix it? That's, I think, the question that everybody needs to be asked and really needs to think about, and how they fix it.
What do you think he says? Because I don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. It's exactly what he would say.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I don't think in front of a press conference, I'm not sure he's answering the question. I think a fair response, I've been thinking about this, is like, you know what? It's fucking hard to score in the playoffs. Have you watched Minnesota try and score on the Spurs? Obviously, the Celtics didn't go up against Victor Wembanyama, but Joel Embiid was protecting the shit out of the rim, and Derek White was shooting 27% from three. That's some people we would need more rim pressure. Well, it's like, the 7'4" dude or 2 dude that's 300 pounds is in the way. Scoring against Draymond Green is really hard in 2022. The Miami Heat Spoelstra defense with Bam and Jimmy is really fucking hard to score on. So scoring in the playoffs is really difficult. I think it's a fair response to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Watching this interview today, I was like, you could ask him about just playmaking out of the short roll, for example, and that would lead to 30 minutes of way more interesting content than everything they touched on in this very, very marketing PR friendly interview they did today. So then I was thinking with regards to this season, asking him about where would he rank Nimi among all the big men whose careers he's boosted in, just if it's a total, you're free to ask anything, you don't have to be journalistically correct or whatever, where would you rank Nimi? And then back to your point, what kind of big man skill set are you looking at to plug some of those playoff offensive gaps, given where we've seen a lot of success where defenses really hone in playoff series and really take away everything a team does well. We've seen Tatum with the ball, get it to the big, pass it over the pick to the big in the short roll, and then play make out of that. What kind of big man, whether you're looking at a person specifically or you're describing a skill set, are you looking for to bolster your offense against playoff defenses? That's probably what I'd ask him. Yeah. I don't know what he would say.
Al Horford is what he would say. Bring me fucking Al Horford back.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Okay, that's the answer. Yeah, I mean, that's not out of the question, I suppose.
They need to try and bring Al Horford back. That's not a joke. I know that people are oh, fuck that guy, he's a Judas. I'd give 2 shits that he left again. Bring me back someone that can help us win basketball games. Is he a little bit older? Yeah. Is it going to cost a lot to bring him back? No. They should try
leave
and bring
again.
Him back.
Fuck it.
Okay. Don't care who leaves. just be here sometimes, and when we win a title, please help us do it. Something that this is it doesn't really matter how we talk about anything, but I was looking at the pace of these teams. Dead last this most recent season in the regular season, second last in the previous year. They lost to the Knicks. In the championship year, they've always been slow, but in the championship year, they were 19th in pace. And it's it feels as if, and it's funny that Daryl Morey's come up, and Kirk Goldsberry was it's interesting that the Sixers didn't do the Daryl try and break the calculator method with the Rockets, right? They went full small ball. They were the first free throws and threes. That's the only thing and layups, the only thing we're doing. And Missoula, it's we do everything with the goal of limiting turnovers. That's no matter what we do, we have to focus on that, because the threes are kind of extension of that, because it allows you to set your defense. So you're sacrificing rim attempts to take 3-point attempts because you're worried about de facto turnovers. You're worried about pace because you're worried about turnovers. And it's are you trying to just, and it's ironic because he's this chaos dude, but at the same time, is he kind of being too Morey? And so play faster, create easy opportunities for yourself. I think, and Tatum is guilty as anybody of this. And I think if I could get him to be, I'd be hey, You're dead last in pace this year. You're 29th the year before. You were 19th the year you guys actually won the title, which is the fastest of the previous 5 years. Do you think there's something to that?
Yeah. That's a really good point. And then like it kind of feeds into if hypothetically Jaylen is up at the podium at the same time, you're like, well, if Jaylen, like you talked about wanting to get to how you played in the regular season in the playoffs and the fact that you went away from that. And I know in the regular season that the ranked, what was it, last in pace or 28th in pace. But I think if you ask Jaylen like to describe how they played, he would say they played with higher pace, even if the stats like that doesn't bear out in the stats. So to have them sit there together and talk in tandem about like how they can find a happy medium in their play style to have success going forward, I think would be a really interesting conversation. But yeah, I mean, with Tatum, it's just so glaring. Like he loves to, in the most like dire moments of the game, bring the ball up, slow everything down, and really, it's almost like how he is in interviews. Like he's umming and ahhing on his way up the court.
Half seconds every
say
time.
the right thing to make the right decision.
Yeah, he's committing. He's almost committing an 8-second violation every time he brings the ball up the court in a close game.
Definitely.
Like,
yeah.
So, and we know he's a coachable guy, but like I don't think that Joe's trying to make them play fast. I refuse to believe he is if they're fucking 29th and 30th in pace. And there was definitely an element to their playing faster within their actions this previous season, and they reverted to some of their bad habits. And part of that was just like Philly's defense really holding up in a way that they didn't think they would be able to. But that feels like an easy, low-hanging fruit thing to press and attack. And with everything shrouded in that, how do you stop your playoff offense collapsing? It's just like simple, like Tatum, like the swing to you, like jab, step, and drive on basically whoever is guarding you. Get downhill. Stuff like that. Like, you know, the Heat tried to play an offense and like, you know, their offense ended up being fucking garbage, really, at the end of the day. And everybody was slobbering all over Spoelstra for the first 20 games of the season for revolutionizing offense. But like they played this style where there's no screens. It's just like quick passes and guys just like faking one way and going the other and straight line driving. Just implementing some different stylistic stuff, because I think that you do really need to redesign yourself offensively to avoid this happening again. Like, what do they say? Doing the same thing over and over again is and like you might just luck into a title again when you hit your shots. But I don't really want to play that game as much as we have been.
Yeah, well, I mean, so many possessions end with either of the Jays with the ball with like 8 seconds on the shot clock. Like, okay, like make something happen, because we haven't been able to like find a seam of the defense. So maybe this leads to like another, and I feel like Bobby Manning would ask this question straight up to Jayson Tatum at the podium. Like, Jayson, if Brad came to you and said, we can get Giannis, but Jaylen has to go, do you make that call?
That's
like, tough question. Yeah. What do you think?
What's funny, like in the exit interviews, I think about the exit interviews, like all the guys having interviews with Brad.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So like,
yeah,
that's a question Brad should ask Jayson. Actually,
agreed.
I don't even think Bobby would ask that in a press conference.
If anyone would ask it, though, it probably would be Bobby, or like someone from one of the radio stations. I
think they could ask it if it's like, would you trade for Giannis? It's like he would say sure, but it's like, would you trade for Giannis if it means losing Jaylen? I think it's a crazy question to ask, but
I think you have to ask it while holding out your press credential, ready to give it back to Celtics PR.
Yeah, thanks, Christian, for letting me in. That'll be it for me. But Brad, behind closed doors, being like, hey, man, and I don't even know if this is the type of thing that Brad does. Like, did Brad go to Jayson before he offered Jaylen Brown and Derek White to the Nets for Kevin Durant? Which has been reported by both Woj and Shams in 2022 that a lot of us kind of swept under the rug. Hand up, probably me. Did he go to Jayson? Would he go to Jayson now? I have no idea.
Occam's Rozier? I think it's more like Jayson has at some point said to Brad, you clearly know what you're doing. I'm fine with anything that you do as long as I get to stay on the team.
Yeah,
that seems likely.
I agree. I actually don't think that Tatum wants... Like, is it not easier for Tatum to not even have to be asked those questions?
Yeah,
to a degree. It's, and also like like when he gets asked in an interview, did Brad come to you? He can like honestly be like, I've said years ago, I don't get involved in that stuff. I trust Brad and the team. This business is tough. Me and Jaylen were together for 10 years. It was awesome. I'm excited to play with Giannis.
Yeah.
I actually think that's more likely than him being like, do you give me the green light? I don't think that's the way that it would go down. Maybe I'm being naive, but it's actually simpler for Jayson from like a controversy perspective in a lot of ways as well. But I don't know. Other questions for either of the Jays? Jaylen.
Well, before
Thoughts
Jaylen,
on- Go
well,
ahead.
I think we're about to say the same thing, but like before Jaylen even like comes up to the podium, I'm saying to Jayson, like, what do you think about everything Jaylen's been saying lately? Any thoughts? Like, in a similar vein, like we're trying to get candid about how he feels about the future of the team. Like, I would love to know, because like he obviously has an opinion, and I'm sure it's not like I have no issue with what Jaylen Brown said. Like, I have no concern over the fact that his favorite season was the one where I was like critically injured and on the bench and not playing. And that definitely doesn't impact how I feel going forward.
Man, I've really gone back and forth on how much I care about that comment. It really
same.
just depends on the day. On some days, I'm like, I know he explained it. Part of the reason he said it because he got to see Tatum come back. And again, I think it's two answers. It's the answer he gives to the cameras, where he's like, hey, like, Jaylen's allowed to feel however he wants. Just because this was his favorite season doesn't mean that like that 2024 season where he won Finals MVP wasn't one of the highlights of his life as well. Like, it doesn't necessarily diminish that. I'm not sure I would expect Jayson Tatum to say this.
No, yeah, but I think we've aligned on the hypothetical world that we're in for this show, Jake. So we should proceed.
Yeah. But like, if we were to poll all the Celtics in the closed door interview, and Brad asked every player, like, "Hey, if we could just like get Jaylen banned from Twitch, should I do it? Should I fucking do it?" And I like everyone would say yes, probably. Maybe not Jordan Walsh.
Yeah, I think Brad Stevens has probably like at least made a call to like a tech guy being like, can you block out like the IP for Twitch from Jaylen's router? Like, can we make that happen? How much is that going to cost?
Can we somehow like make him think that he's streaming when he's not actually streaming?
Yeah.
Can we get like a bunch of bots in the chat?
Yep.
I know, but then the clips. Sorry, Jaylen. I want you to have your own voice, obviously. I'm not telling you to shut up and dribble. I want you to be able to say the things. But like Windhorse had a very poignant kind of line on the Ryan Russillo podcast. And I didn't think about it in this way, but so Jaylen has the Tracy McGrady thing happen, which leads to Brad being asked about Jaylen Brown's frustration in his exit interview. And then the next day he goes on his stream to clarify. Windhorst, the way that he saw it was like Jaylen Brown wasn't planning on streaming the next day again. He just made sure to get back up there very quickly to make it clear that he wants to be in Boston. He doesn't want anyone to think that he wants to get out of here.
Great point.
He's like, hey, Brad, I'm sorry. I'm not frustrated. I told T-Mac to shut the fuck up. That wasn't supposed to come out. My bad.
And we talked about that on the last show and acknowledged that to be the case. And I think, you said like you sway on your feelings on that like day to day. And I definitely do as well. And I think today, for whatever reason, I'm just on the like annoyed by that side of it. But for the most part, long term, the things we remember about this season won't be, I hope, Jaylen Brown's like, freelance comments on Twitch live stream. It'll be how fucking awesome he was, first team All NBA, like huge in the community, very impactful in the city of Boston. Like, and then he might have also said that it was his favorite season.
Do you believe those words coming out of your mouth?
Don't ask me that. Today I do. Yeah. I mean, I love Jaylen Brown. I love Jaylen Brown so much, which is why it hurts when he says the things that we don't want to hear him say. I think that's really what I believe in.
Yeah, and like AI Matrix in the chat right now, my favorite JB season, JB first captain year favorite. Like, I think that's and we sung the praises of Jaylen Brown all year long, and talked about how the leadership and how the fact that he was able to bring this group of misfits together to win 56 games. Yeah, like the favorite season thing, I think totally checks out until you get to the blowing the 3-1 lead part. And if and should that just be like, and now rehashing that again, but like that made up a very, very tiny percentage of the season and the feelings. So clearly they're very proud of the season that they put together, which they should be. Like they fucking exceeded their win total by 15 games. It's astronomical. And he was incredible. But it just sucked. But I think part of it as well is he sucked in games 5, 6, and 5 and 6. He was good in game 7.
So I do think that my first like real question to Jaylen is like compare and contrast like what made you successful in the regular season to what ultimately led to the failure of the postseason. Because as you've outlined, Jake, it's not just pace. Even if like aesthetically it seemed like it was, it really wasn't. So like what specifically, and you probably have to, as part of that question, say you can't lean on offensive rebounding because like that's just something, and we saw it with the Sixers, like teams could just easily take away in the postseason once there's like a proper scouting report on how to defeat you, essentially. So I would love to hear him speak in detail on why the postseason was so different, and if he could do it again, what he would have done, knowing how teams focus on your strengths in the postseason.
I mean, he did say it in one of his exit interviews in that, like, he wished, or maybe it was one of his streams, that he wished they would have stuck with the depth of the team and the identity of the team a little bit. Because, like, yes, the Sixers did clean up the rebounding, but you also didn't play Jordan Walsh or Ugo or Baylor enough. Those guys were the offensive rebound guys. Like, if you're playing Tatum and Jaylen 40-plus minutes, those guys aren't offensive rebounding. Pritchard's not doing it. Gaza was completely neutralized. Like, that's the thing. Embiid being parked at the basket, plus Drummond being the other big who can rebound. It's like, unless you're getting those perimeter players to offensive rebound, it's not going to happen. But I think you're right to a degree, and you've touched on how we touched on the try-hard element of this team and how it might not translate. And that element definitely evaporated. And whether or not I think it's partly a playoff thing and a scouting thing, and I think partly Joe Mazzulla going away from the guys that generate the offensive rebounds, because he started to feel it kind of tip back in your direction in game 7 with like Ugo and stuff like that. I mean, how long does it get until he's like, yeah, fuck, Derek White was pretty awesome in the regular season, and then like,
yeah, well, that might be.
And it wasn't at all. Like that's one of the biggest differences between the regular season and the playoffs, because, you know, he graded out metrically advanced wise as a top 10 player, and then both sides of the ball kind of collapsed. And if that's your third best player, that's probably the guy that it's probably skated on the blame more than anyone. Like, it's gone to Joe, it's gone to Jaylen. That's been by far the two guys. Like, we talked about Derek a lot in the series, but no one's been like, fuck, if Derek White had just played like he did in the previous 2 playoffs, they probably would have won in 5.
He's got to be refreshing Twitter daily, just being like, oh man, another day, another blameless Derek White day.
Good.
Like, yeah, things are good. Can't wait to suit up next year. Brad's going to have me back. Another year as a Celtic. But yeah, like the truth serum exit interview is like, that's coming up, right? It's like one of the great luxuries in my life, says Jaylen Brown, is my ability to collapse the defense and kick out to guys like Derek White. And we just like didn't have that this time around. And we didn't really know how to figure that out. I think that's definitely a real factor. I think.
Well, dude, like, fuck, and I hate to, because there's not a lizard brain take, but part of me is like, man, at some point you do actually have to hit the shots.
Yeah.
And I know that they went too far into the threes, maybe, but it's like, what do you want them attacking Joel Embiid at the rim over and over again, or did Peyton Pritchard need to hit that 3 in the corner? It's like, the swings were just so wild. It was like they were 40% plus in their 3 wins, and they were sub 30% in the 3 losses. And I definitely think there was a shot quality element to that Brad Stevens talked about, like generating the good stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe a question for Jaylen. I'll be like, hey, in regular season, you had one of your best playmaking seasons maybe your best playmaking season. I think we talked about that quite a lot, actually. You had a negative assist to turnover ratio in the Sixers series.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Maybe he talks about how so much of the directive with playing the Embiid Sixers is like you attack Embiid and drop. And then he references the many times in Game 5 and especially Game 6 and in Game 7 where they attacked him and drop. And his like feet were fucking moving. And he was like switching onto Jaylen on those drives and like tippy-toeing and following him to the rim. And that's not the Joel Embiid that we're used to. I'm not saying that's like completely to blame for the flip in assist to turnover ratio, but like Joel Embiid was fucking moving for like 3 games in his entire career, and we lost those games. That has to be considered in Jaylen Brown's answer.
Yeah. Oh, like back to the missed shots. Assist to turnover ratio would be a lot better if the guys he passed to made the shots.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
I was gonna say, go ahead. Here you go.
Well, I was just going to take it to another hypothetical question because I like this bottle, but
I have one as well. For
you
Jaylen.
You go.
Jaylen, on your stream, you brought up some Paul George push-offs, saying it's the same thing. Do you think you needed to adjust your push-off strategy? And I'm torn on it too, because like he obviously pushed off. The problem is they let him fucking push off all year long.
Yeah,
and they need to try and change it in the middle of a playoff series.
So is the ask really more about like refereeing consistency? Because
I don't know.
He kind of spoke to it on his first stream where he really like crashed out, as the young people say. Over that specifically. And so I think to some degree, we know his thoughts. Maybe like if we're saying like with the benefit of hindsight and clarity and with like the passing of time, do you feel differently about it now? And maybe he does.
Do you need to come up with a second, like you lent so heavily on the off arm as a way to attack.
Yeah.
Whereas
and it was egregious.
It was egregious, I thought. And I thought that what made him great, like I think about the Thunder game they won at home and the ability that he had to get past Lou Dort. And it wasn't push-offs. It was like explosiveness, getting low and getting his shoulders in and through and past guys.
Yeah.
And I thought he was just so, and it goes back to the pace and the deliberacy thing. And part of it was like he's, being cautious about turnovers again because they're fucking terrified to commit a turnover, which they, Jaylen Brown probably should be after everything that he's been through in his playoff career.
Yeah, there's some trauma there.
Yeah. So I think that's fair. But yeah, like I didn't think that the push-offs were as egregious. Like he definitely pushes off in the regular season, but the Phillies, it just was so egregious. So I'm like, where did just like the getting low, the getting by, the Lou Dorts, the everyones of the world go that you got past for the entire season? Did you lean too heavily on the push-off? Maybe that's the way that I would phrase it.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I have 2 more questions for Jaylen. One is, Jaylen, you've referred to yourself as the best two-way player in the league, yet multiple Celtics postseasons have ended early, and the consensus on many of those occasions has been that your flaws got exploited to such a degree that it was the impetus for the defeat. Why do you think that is? And what do you need to improve to get away from that? As I hand my credential back to Christian at Celtics PR.
Fake news. Yeah. That why you're kicked out immediately.
Yeah. You don't get the full question out, I don't think.
Jaylen, when you say that, do you include off-ball defense? What do you think about Tyrese Maxey cooking your dick off in the Game 7?
I think he comes back with something like defense is a mindset, and I have the mindset.
Fuck. And hey, man, we are being a bit mean to Jaylen right now. So, like, it is probably a good spot to reiterate. We do love him, and if he stays a Celtic for the rest of his career, we'll both be very, very happy. And
totally
has been the impetus, to borrow a word from Ben Vallis, of a ton of deep playoff runs.
Yeah, and literally also a championship.
And like, sure, Finals MVP, Conference Finals MVP. He was incredible in that run. However, 2023, Joe Mazzulla or Jaylen Brown? because holy smokes, that series was bad for Jaylen Brown. 7 for 22 in game 2 of that series, which they were up like, and Jaylen Tatum had like 33, 8, 6 or something. The Knicks series, I completely give him a pass. He had meniscus surgery a week after the season ended. So, yeah. Going, there's a lot of emotional therapy tonight, it feels like, which I wasn't really anticipating, but I think it's probably good.
We're clearly still in that space, that headspace. And no ill will towards the Celts. Like, we run it back. Fuck, I don't care.
Yeah,
run it back with the Jays, run it back with everybody. But it
Just
is
do
what
it
it
in the
is.
league.
I would also ask, you were the best player on the team last year, Jaylen. Tell me why March 2026 Jayson Tatum wasn't actually better than you. Sorry, that's the last mean Jaylen thing I'll say.
March
Everybody else is all love.
26.
Yeah, so like Tatum came back, he averaged like a career high in rebounds, and was like quite good. I guess the main thing is like the Celtics were very good without Jayson Tatum, and then like equally, if not slightly better, with Jayson Tatum towards the close of the season.
I think that's a good question. Is like, why were you guys so good without Jayson Tatum, and then when you got to the playoffs, you guys were so bad without Jayson Tatum?
Yeah, yeah.
What
And also
happened there?
bad with Jayson Tatum.
No, they were good when he was on the court.
Sure, the on-offs. Yeah, I agree.
The on-offs. Tatum is not innocent in games 5 and 6. Don't get me wrong, but he was still positive. I believe a +1 in game 5, and that's the game. And to go back to the beginning of the podcast, like if they take care of business in game 5, I feel very differently about going into a Knicks series where they're healthy and fresh.
Sure.
As opposed to just like coming off a catastrophic series where Tatum's already injured. And that brings us back to so many of the issues in the era. Like, and Brad being asked about why he dropped so many home games. Man.
I think I'm done.
They got some self-reflection to do, man. They got some looking in the mirror. On one hand, they're going to be in the mix again no matter what, as long as they're healthy. If they run it back, there's still a part of me that's like, if they just gotten hot, if Derek White simply shot the way you could even include this season in the playoffs from when he arrived in Boston, even the bad playoffs and regular season, he's still like a high volume, like 37, 38% 3-point shooter. If you just gotten that version of Derek White, I think you can make the finals. But he was a shell of himself and fucking on both ends. And maybe that's my big takeaway from this episode, is that maybe the thing that I've been underrating was like the dude that blocked PJ Washington at the rim in game 2 of the finals. The dude that almost had 100 blocks as a guard in the regular season. He's not the point of attack defender that Joe Mazzulla keeps deploying him as. Again, which goes back to Joe as well. It's like, have Walsh on Maxey. Let Derek be on Kelly Oubre and just wreak havoc all over the court. Like he got a strip on Embiid in game 7, if my memory, if not 2. If Derek White's playing at Derek White level, I think you feel good about the team making the finals, and because your third best player needs to be playing at fringe all-star level like OG Anunoby was.
Yeah, the biggest thing for like team run it back is do all that again. Maybe Derek's slightly back to himself, and you bring in a big on the mid-level exception, or just like your big man rotation is just slightly more bolstered, where it's not just this like glaring deficiency. And that's not to say that Nemi wasn't awesome, and like Nemi was great, really, like when he wasn't in foul trouble, which unfortunately was all the fucking time
the whole series,
in round 1. And if you just have, and again, not to shit on Gaza or Vooch, particularly not Gaza, who was great during the regular season, like you just needed a bit more depth there, and probably a little bit more like playoff acumen as well. And I think that's clearly what they'll address if they make only one change going into the next season. It'll just be like, let's just bolster the big man rotation, and then do it all again, and just like roll the dice with Derek and hope that he's sort of back to who he has been previously.
It's just fucking hard to get a big man. Like the Pacers have been clowned for losing the 5th pick in this Zubats trade, but
Oh man, the Pacers. Fuck. I
But
feel
they're hard to-
terrible for them.
I actually don't feel that bad for them. I feel like I'm in this. This is a huge zag for me, but like I don't think the 5th pick was actually gonna. That was why they made it top 4 protected, because this top 4 in the draft is franchise altering, and below that it's not. So it's like, what was this Mara guy doing for you? Whereas like, I think Ivica Zubac can be incredible in the playoffs and has been incredible in the playoffs. So it's like, and those guys are really fucking hard to find, as the Celtics are learning right now.
It's just the hope that a lottery pick like brings upon for a fan base, and the fact that the outcome of the season wasn't a bit of extra hope. Kind of sucks.
Sure.
We got to wrap this thing up. Folks in the comments, like, let us know your questions, your hypothetical questions for players as we move through this series. Maybe we need to rebrand it as like the unfair exit interview or the forbidden exit interview or something. But it's been incredibly cathartic for me, Jake, to just like ask unanswerable questions to players that we'll never be able to speak to. I guess a couple of things to wrap up on. Rest in peace, Jason Collins and Brandon Clark, all in a day. Like Brandon Clark in particular, like 29 years old, active NBA player. Not sure what's happened there, but obviously huge tragedy. And then Jason Collins, I think one of the first Celtics games I ever went to as a very, very young person, Jason Collins was the starting center. And he was like very much in the realm that we are now, where it's like, let's feel it out with a bunch of different center options and like see if we can find one that works. And I was definitely on team Jason Collins for a while, where I was like, I think we found our guy. I think we're cooking here, Jason Collins. And that was unfortunately not the case. And there was Semi Oden, and there was a bunch of other guys who came and went during that time. But Jason Collins was a good vibe, and obviously I think the first openly gay player in the NBA, and I guess like testament to obviously him, but like I can recall that never being part of the narrative. Like I remember that got reported and everyone was like, yeah, cool, like great, let's play ball. And I just love that wasn't. You can just see like with the stereotypical sports fans that being more of a thing, and it just wasn't. And I think that's great. So rest in peace, those guys. Big Jason Collins fan. There was a time, I think, especially Spooty and I definitely have iterated on the Brandon Clark to the Celtics talk before. So we've certainly shown him some love as well. So a tragic day in the NBA, unfortunately. I'm sorry to wrap it up on a bad note, but we can't do this pod and not touch on those.
Yeah, I mean, and Jason, he's only 47. Like, obviously, Brandon Clark, the fact that he's in his 20s still is so tragic. But like Collins, 47, way too young, obviously. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I remember Jason Collins' 333 minutes as a Boston
They were
Celtic.
magical.
Like, I shout out, kudos to you, man, because I missed those apparently, and didn't remember him as a Boston Celtic. But yeah, Brandon Clark, great player. I wonder if like he just copped a bunch of injuries, and like the rehab life can be lonely and demoralizing. I think he did an Achilles plus some other knee stuff. I haven't seen if they've reported on what or why, so I'm not really going to speculate because I saw some stuff. But anyone that fucking dies down to the age of 30 is awful.
Brutal.
Yeah. And anyway, like Chris Vernon was sharing some great stuff about he was a rookie and how he's a great kid, and I don't know, it just made me think about how like that Grizzlies team was super close and super fun.
Yeah.
Like Jar and Triple J being at like the Magic games in the playoffs in Detroit, and like cheering on Bane. Obviously, Brandon Clark was a part of that as well. So killer like short roll floater. Talk about some non-3 low variance offense that we could have used, but
absolutely. Yeah, and I hope that us touching on this is more about the celebration of their lives, and obviously I don't know. I'm not qualified to speak well on these things, but it's obviously a tragic day in the NBA, and like we can't go live and do a pod without touching on that, because those are two legitimately awesome people who contributed a lot to the game in their own ways, and that needs to be spoken to. And I'm sure lots of people will do a much better job of us in doing that, but props to those guys, and rest in peace. Jake, so that we're not ending the show on that note, anything else you want to get to before we wrap up?
Well, I think we'll be back on Thursday, and I know Rivens hates the Giannis trades, but I had confirmation from Nathan Marzion of Bucks Twitter, basically the greenie of Bucks Twitter, to come on and talk Giannis trades, and then the next day he was like, I can't do it. I can't talk about Giannis trades.
I respect that, honestly.
And I was like, I really do respect it, because like it's not an act with the greenies and the Marzions of the world. Like they live and breathe it. But he did say if I send him trades, he'll give me his thoughts on them. So because I do think it's the main reason I want him on is I think it's hard to get in the minds of the Bucks fan and like have the intricate knowledge of the cap and the salary and the thinking of the ownership. What do they want to do? They want to win. They want to rebuild. So to have a little bit of insight from a true fan like that would have been good, but very funny. Because I think, did I tell you the challenge trade that he gave me in the middle of the season? I don't think I shared it on the pod. He was like, in the middle of the season, he tweeted, he asked me in the DMs, like, if I would do a Jayson Tatum for Giannis trade. And it's like before we knew anything about Tatum coming back. This was in November 25th. He's like, Celtics get Giannis, Bucks get Tatum and 2 firsts. But here's the catch. The teams agree they'll trade back Giannis for Tatum at the end of the season.
Oh, yeah. We did talk about this.
Did you talk about that? Yeah. Okay.
Crazy.
Anyway, everything we know now, I don't think we would trade Jayson Tatum for Giannis. And I think we'd be getting, I don't think picks are going. Just the fact that Tatum's 4 or 5 years younger and came back and looked like a top 5 guy again when he was on the court. So that's probably a good place to end it, is that fact.
Absolutely. And I think that's obviously going to be a huge, huge talking point through the offseason. There's going to be many different trade iterations offseason, but we've got a long time to get to all of that. So we're going to call it a night. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Please hit the like button. Or if you're listening on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, etc., please give us a 5-star rating or review as I stumble for the outro button. Preferably a good review as well, by the way, if you are going to leave us one. Jake Eisenberg, love your work, man. Until next time. Go Celts.